Welcome back to the Roll Tide Rewind in 2025. We are here for a Vanderbilt offensive preview. Be sure to check out our latest video released yesterday on the Georgia game reaction with the Alabama offense. And as you see Parker opening that mouth going, that's what we looked like when Caden Proctor took that screen pass almost for a touchdown. But yeah, Parker and I are back. We're going to break down some Vanderbilt offensive film. How does Diego Pavia create plays, and how can we stop Vanderbilt from pulling off an upset like they did last year? So let's dive into the film. Let's go straight to it. What is Diego Pavia known for? He's known for his playmaking. We'll see it here. This is against Utah State. Their schedule has been fairly soft so far.
Yes.
I mean, South Carolina.
Worth noting. Very much worth noting.
Worth noting. South Carolina's, they've been up and down. Utah State, and then they also have played Charleston Southern. They've played Georgia State, and then it was Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is one of the worst Power 5 teams. But we can see in these highlights this year, Pavia is more of a playmaker. He's the same old. But this is a big play in the half. This is just this past Saturday. But they get the ball with 15 seconds left, and Pavia just making great plays in the open field. And you'll see in these next few clips of how important his legs are to making plays down the field. And just even right here with the speed option, makes the first defender miss and still continues with the speed option, which this play could be a reckless play if the ball is not put in the right spot by Diego here. But Parker, you've talked good about Diego Pavia on our video last week. What do you think about Diego Pavia heading into this matchup?
I got so much crap from Cole off camera about that pick. And now that John Mateer is out for 15 to 30 days with hand surgery, look who's laughing now, Cole. Listen, I know you're picking up James from the Federales in Mexico. All right? You're there. I'm here. I know ball, buddy. And I love Diego Pavia. I think he is such a unique quarterback. Worth noting, I don't think he's an NFL talent. But that's why we love college football, because you have guys that, can succeed and be a borderline household name. Diego Pavia is just so crafty, and he finds ways to will his team into games. And you're right, you're going to see some risky decisions. That's probably a terrible option read. I think you just fall backwards at that point. But his ability to scan the field and make a quick decision and improvise, maybe second to none, or at least very few in the college football landscape right now. Diego Pavia is the sole reason that we're even talking about Vanderbilt. And I think that if you were to ask any Vanderbilt fan who the most impactful player of the last 15 years for them was, it's this man right here.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We can see on this last play, though, Alabama fans remember this game very, very well last year. Vanderbilt beat Alabama. It was a wild time. Alabama had just beaten Georgia, just like we did this past weekend. We went to Vanderbilt thinking, we just got a quick little game, to wrap up here.
Home away from home.
Yeah, Nashville, that's not far away. And credit to Vanderbilt, they took it to us. And this is on the first drive, but this shows playmaking ability. I think that's LT Overton kind of goes unblocked on the play. Doesn't matter. He did get unblocked. He just beat his block, but Diego makes a play, rolls out of the pocket, still looking downfield, makes a great play to Eli Stowers, who is Vanderbilt's probably best weapon on offense besides Diego. But you see here, with the playmaking, he can keep plays alive, and that has affected Alabama in the past, however many years. Castellanos kept plays alive, and that killed us. Gunnar Stockton, I was impressed with how Alabama dealt with Gunnar Stockton. He did not beat Alabama deadly in the run game like I thought he was. Now, the other running backs, they did, but Gunnar Stockton did not. And we see also with Vanderbilt, they love to do a lot of quarterback-designed runs, as you'll see in these next few clips. Georgia didn't do many with Gunnar Stockton, but Vanderbilt, they're not going to play around. They're going to run with Diego Pavia. He had 20 rush attempts last year against Alabama. I see that number probably hitting similar spots if they want to be successful in this football game. Not saying he has to have 20, but you can't just let your best player on the field not have the ball in his hands. He has it in his hands, but Cedric Alexander's a good running back, but Diego's got to be the one to carry the rock for Vanderbilt in this game.
Yeah, he's probably going to have double-digit carries, but that's all he really needs because he's such a good creator in the backfield that sometimes he just doesn't need to run. When they're designed like, an option play or something, if you want to hear our full thoughts on our defense against option plays, you can go back to that breakdown, that defensive breakdown. That's in the archives. You can see it. But it's going to be really interesting to see how we respond to running backs and running quarterbacks that work outside of the tackles and how we work to contain them and stop the big plays. Because one of the focus of that video is that if they are averaging 2-3 yards a carry or even like 4 yards a carry and it's between the tackles, you can live with that, right? Diego Pavia is not a terribly accurate quarterback. There's going to be third and longs throughout this entire game. What you can't have is a big 18-yard chunk play on an option play that gets read wrong by the defense and they all crash on the running back, and then Diego Pavia taps his little toes and teleports 15 yards downfield instantly. It'll happen. He'll get at least one. That's just who this guy is. Very efficient when he has to survey the field and make that decision. And when it's schemed up for him, it's even more elite. But it'll be something to keep an eye on. I'd be surprised if we don't have a dedicated spy out there a time or two against this young man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then also like a good segue to continue into their run game. They got two pretty good running backs. They use three. There's two of them that stand out. Just to mention them real quick, Cedric Alexander. He scored 2 touchdowns against Alabama last year. He's so far this season through 5 games, 243 rushing yards, 4 touchdowns. And then their MK Young, their second guy, 211 yards, also 4 touchdowns. Pavia leads the team 294 and 2 touchdowns, with 294 rushing yards and also 2 touchdowns. But how important is it to have 2 running backs that you can rely on? And I'm not mentioning the AJ Newberry, who also got to play in the Alabama game against Alabama last year. He's their third guy that they use, but them two specifically, like that's MK Young right there against Virginia Tech getting a big run. But how big is it to have 2 to 3 guys you can count on in a game?
We're not even saying Jamezo Lassiter. He only had 1 carry against South Carolina. It was the perfect play. 1 carry for 44 rushing yards and a touchdown.
Oh yeah, but big play.
Yeah, the run game is going to be incredibly important. We just gave up 200 yards on the ground against Georgia. That was a 3-point game.
Hey Parker, Parker, did you say that Georgia would run for 200 rushing yards? Did you say that?
I did say that actually,
Wow.
and that's in the archive. You can go back and say that. And once again, Cole looking at me like I'm a fool. Nobody was thinking 200 rushing yards. That's why you're dealing with the federales this week.
Yeah, Cole.
We are not good at stopping the run.
No.
It's just not one of our strengths. It happens every year. There's something that sneaks by. Stopping the run is a big one, and thankfully we haven't really ran into any super highly elite running teams. In fact, I'd go so far to say is there's not really a hyper talented prospect. There's not a Bijan Robinson. There's not a Christian McCaffrey out there in the college football landscape right now. We're seeing more and more committees, more and more guys that can do different things and do them very well. And that's what we're going to see against Vanderbilt. We're going to see guys that, they'll get 41 rush yards, but they'll also have 2 catches for 26 yards. That's what Alexander had against South Carolina. If we are unable to stop the run, there's a chance that Vanderbilt stays in this game. But I don't think it's if we can stop the running backs. I think it goes back to what we're talking about against, like big plays, like big option plays. As long as we can shut those down and, force a 3rd and long throughout the game consistently like we did against Georgia, okay. Have your 200 yards. Have your 150 rushing yards from your running back room. All right, I guess. Maybe that's not what you want to hear if you're an Alabama fan. But, I mean, the playing field has never been more even, I would say, across the college football landscape. Everyone's paying players. Everyone's doing it above the table now. Everyone has great rooms, great guys. Never been more athletic. There's never been a more athletic pool of players in all of college football history, that's your weakness. And you know what it is, and you just have to watch the film and be able to stop it like you did against Georgia. It kept Gunnar Stockton to a very minimal game on the ground. So
Yeah,
they still got the win.
absolutely. And then with the running, I think this is the last running part of the video, this next segue here. But one thing I noticed when I was watching film today was Vanderbilt has ran a few reverses in their games. Like this is against Virginia Tech right here. I think this ends up being a touchdown. But watch Pavia. Pavia gets out there and he's making a play. He gets a good block, and that ends up being, I think he may have stepped out of bounds there. But it's, like you're down by 10 points coming out of halftime. And this is a drive you need, and it's a drive they deliver on. And I think they score 34. They win the second half 34-0 against Virginia Tech. Now Virginia Tech isn't good. Let's just flat out say their coach has already been fired. Their coach has already been fired. But 34 unanswered in the second half at an away game, Power 4 game, like that's still you got to give props to. And we also see the reverse here against South Carolina. Little same kind of deal. Pavia again leading, and then look at that block effort. That's what they see in Pavia is a lot of effort. And
Man, yeah.
not to bring up a bad omen, bad memory. This happened in the Florida State game. Handoff. Oh, a fake handoff. Reverse. We remember this play. But I bet that's something Vanderbilt looks to. That's something that
they'll use it. Yeah, they'll definitely implement not just, and if I had to guess, you're going to see a reverse player too. But I fully expect them to try a counter run probably 2 or 3 times in the first half just to see. They'll line up with 6. They'll bring a tight end in, and they'll stack the wide side of the field as heavy as they can, except for the tight end on the line and a running back running a counter, and they're going to see if they can sneak one past Alabama. It's going to be really difficult to contain those plays, especially if as a team you understand that your weakness is preventing the run game and you're trying to stop the option run. Very susceptible. The solution to that is your linebackers need to be a little bit more heads up about where the ball is, to be a little bit more patient in taking that first step, right? Because you saw right there for South Carolina, not our linebackers, but the linebackers step up once they see the line move right there. And they're not patient. They're trying to get off blocks. And what happens is while they're in those blocks, everything's happening in the backfield. They can't see anything. They need to be a little bit more patient on the handoffs. Make sure they fully understand where the ball is going, and then you can make a move. And what that does for Vandy's offense is that increases your run game in between the tackles. That turns 1 to 2 yard plays into 3 to 4 yard plays because you have that extra step on the linebackers. But you got to trust in your secondary. This is a secondary that did a fantastic job all night against Georgia. If you can do it against Georgia, you can darn well do it against Vanderbilt.
No, I agree there. And then one last run play here. You mentioned like the speed option. That's what Vanderbilt likes to do. They like to pull out these little wrinkles and get their guys involved. And it's just like the last wrinkle of their run game. A lot of option, speed option. But that's just like bring the receiver out from the backfield, give him a chance to make a play on the open field. And I bet we're going to see some gadget plays with that as well for the run game. But yeah, that could be like 10-yard gain. What if that's a 3rd and 9? Vanderbilt is not scared to run the ball on 3rd and 9. They've shown that before. But we'll go to the passing game. They do a lot of mixture of things from the film that I was watching today, but they do like to do RPOs. They are a fast-moving offense. They have had at least 10 drives this year that have been touchdowns, and they've done them in under 2 minutes. This also involves a few more drives that were just a little over 2 minutes, like 2 minutes and 20 seconds. They like big plays, and they like to go fast. Why? How can you go fast? Run RPOs. They work. You see it here. Everyone bites up, makes a great play. I believe that is to Sherrell. He had a touchdown against Alabama last year. And then same thing here. He's had, I think, 3 touchdowns against Utah State. Hits him right over the middle for a big gain, big play, obviously. And then we'll see it here. This is against Charleston Southern, but that's to Trey Richardson, I believe, number 6. Yeah. And then you see it here against Alabama last year. They know it worked. They'll bring it back. Damani gets kind of beat here. Just got to put on an island by himself, and that's what Diego sees, and Diego attacks it. So I bet Vanderbilt will attack this again this year. I feel like this will be like a thing they try to harp on. They'll try to get in the run game. Because, I mean, last year they ran the ball well. I wrote the stats down. It was some wild stuff that I've forgotten about. But they were 12 of 18 on third down. So what Alabama just did to Georgia, Vanderbilt did it to us last year. Yep. Time of possession, 42 minutes and 8 seconds that Vanderbilt took off the clock that Alabama never had the ball with. And then they had no turnovers. Alabama had 2. Alabama had 6 penalties. Vanderbilt had 3.
One of those
the little things that matter. The little things that matter.
Yeah, and you're right. The biggest stat there is the 42 minutes of possession. That's 68% of the game, of the entire game. You have 42 minutes, only leaves you 18 minutes of offense, and last year there were some fluky things. I mean, that one interception off of the head of the defender where it just bounced in the air, crazy. Like, you can't scheme against that. No. How do you defend against that? But whenever you go into a game like this, it's going to be very difficult, and obviously that's why you're tuning in. You want to know how to beat it, but the answer is that there probably isn't going to be just one answer, right? Because you look at the hurry up that we talked about, 10 touchdowns in 2 minutes or less, and you think, okay, well, the trick to that is conditioning and consistent player, like personnel, man coverage, understand who your assignment is, and then just be consistent moving downfield with the offense. If they move, you got to move right with them. You can't let them get by you. But if they have these long drives that take up 6-7 minutes apiece, then the answer is to get some new legs in, right? You want to be fresh. You want to try to see if you can get an advantage anywhere you can. This is going to be a tough offense to defend against. They are going to be reaching deep in their bag for this one. I think any longtime Vanderbilt fan would give an arm, a leg, most of their liver, and a firstborn child to beat Alabama back-to-back. Mm-hmm. I think if you were to ask any of them, they would say yes, especially with this crew that, has been such a... You look back on Alabama teams and certain ones stand out, right? You look at Tua's first full year. You look at, Mark Ingram's Heisman year. You look at some of the defenses, and you look back fondly on those teams. This is every Vanderbilt fan's favorite team of all time, probably. So they are wanting to win this one. They are wanting to come out in this game and pull out every single trick in the book. Expect a reverse pass. Expect a flea flicker. Expect the option. Expect the pass from Alabama where Jeremy Bernard threw it on a 3rd and 1. Right? Expect those things throughout this game because they are going to be fighting tooth and nail. This is really where we see what the Alabama defensive personnel are made of and how they can react and how they can adjust on the fly. Because all the best teams defensively can adjust on the fly, even if the personnel don't change, even if the coverages don't change. Just how you respond and react to an offense, that's going to be the key to this game. The offense will be doing whatever the offense does, right? Like they're gonna Grubb's got it schemed out. He's gonna watch the film. He knows what they're looking for against this Vandy team. Defensively is going to be the key to the game. Because if the defense only gives up 17 points, there's a good chance Alabama wins. If the defense gives up 38 points, maybe might win.
Yeah. It's going to be big on the defense in this game. I thought even though Ty was great on Saturday, got to get the defense props. The offense didn't score a single point in the second half, and Alabama still won the game. Let's go to who I think is their biggest, besides Diego Pavia, their biggest X factor in their offense, and that is Eli Stowers. Mm-hmm. He's one guy that probably could have went to the NFL, but he saw what was coming back for Vanderbilt, and he talked about it. He said, yeah, when Diego said he was coming back, that encouraged me to come back because I saw what we had coming. And he's an elite target. He's an elite tight end. He's one of the better tight ends in the SEC. And Alabama fans, we've seen what Josh Cuevas can do for a team this year. Now, Stowers is putting up, wide receiver 1 statistics, whereas Cuevas is not. Cuevas impacts the games in other ways. But Stowers is their go-to guy. And it being a tight end, that's always an important thing. It's an advantage. Our best receiver is our tight end. Florida had it with Kyle Pitts, not comparing him to Kyle Pitts. Georgia had it with Brock Bowers, not comparing him to Brock Bowers. But when your best threat is a tight end, your offense changes because you can just pull so many wrinkles with him. You can just do so many little things like this right here, get him across the middle of the field. It's a screen pass. And then this one, I don't know what Utah State's doing here. They lift him wide open in the slot. This is an easy touchdown for anybody. He's wide open. But in the slot, they're going to get it to him. 3rd and 21, when Diego hits his panic button, it's Eli Stowers. And then even here, across the middle of the field on a crossing route right here. This is Georgia State, I know. But he can make a play. The corner here is confused. But look, he can make a play. He can go down the sideline and be elite speed. So very important for a tight end to be your biggest, one of your other, besides, Diego Pavia, your biggest X factor. That's very important. Little wrinkles that you can pull.
I mean,
for a tight end.
Commentators have been saying it forever. Maybe not resurgence, but the emergence of the tight end as an offensive weapon is maybe the biggest mismatch on the field at any given time, especially depending on your coverage. And a guy like this has speed. You saw right there how fast he got 20 yards downfield. He can move quickly. It's going to be on that second level, not the safeties, not the cornerbacks. It's going to be on the linebackers to really stop him in this game. I don't think you're going to be able to completely. He'll probably have, a 50-yard game, probably get a touchdown. His ability to be a weapon, not just catching the ball, but blocking as well, is very important because his blocking game opens up the rest of it. Because if he's blocking, and he does, and he blocks well, but whenever he's blocking, if he, is the safety valve and just slips off a block and gets 5 yards downfield if the play develops slowly for Vanderbilt, he's going to move the chains consistently. And that's something that I'm a little worried about with this tight end is he's not going to be the field stretcher. He's going to be the safety valve. And the safety valves have really been whenever they have the ball in their hands, and we do a good job of preventing it, but when the safety valves have the ball in their hands, like the chains move, and they move consistently against us. So I'm really curious to see how he will be able to break away and how he will be utilized to keep Pavia clean in the pocket, but also to kind of be the release point as well in case things start to fall apart offensively for Vanderbilt.
Yeah. And he's on this last play, we'll do a little segue here. Watch Cedric Alexander on this play. He's going to run a wheel route. That's a touchdown. He throws it to Eli. That's fine. Get away with a little pick right there. But that's a touchdown. The wheel route is open. I've noticed in watching this film, Vanderbilt loves to throw it to wheel routes. They love to utilize wheel routes. We'll see it right here against Charleston Southern in the first game. Wheel route to the sideline there. I believe that is Eli Stowers as well. But it started out from as like a 2 tight end set, pulls out against the corner, man-to-man coverage, and he got him all day. We also see it here in the Virginia Tech game while Clark Lee is being interviewed, or at least he was interviewed before. And Diego Pavia, it's a little misdirection play, and Virginia Tech just kind of gets lost. These defenders here get lost with the tight end wheeling out here. But motion, tight end right here, no one takes them. And Vanderbilt caught that. They probably saw that in film or probably knew that would be something that would confuse Virginia Tech, and you see it here better in the all-22 angle. But no one takes them. Both of these guys move up to these 2 other guys, and that leaves him wide open for a touchdown. We also see it again in the South Carolina game. We're acting like we're throwing a screen, where 5 is acting like he's going to block, and he's going to pull out, and he's open. Gets the first and goal here. Big play. And we're also going to see it here, down here. Cedric Alexander, it's a little mini roll route, but he's going to let the receiver cross in front of him. He's going to go to the outside. Diego lets his player make a play. And absolutely outstanding catch for a running back, by the way. I know it's Charleston Southern, but that's an outstanding catch for a running back.
Yeah, wide receivers can't do that sometimes. That's a fantastic high point grab there from the halfback. The wheel route is going to be, is going to be especially dangerous with how it opens up the field, because especially in man coverage, if you're the strong safety, or if you're the Mike or whoever's assignment's the running back, you're opening up the field just a little bit wider. And if you don't have anybody on Pavia, then if he can step up right there and nobody's watching, that's another 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 15, 20-yard gain for quarterback with wheels. This is a great receiving running back room. I expect them to utilize that a lot we talk about how Vanderbilt wants to get deep into the bag of tricks this game. I would probably be surprised if they don't even have the running backs throwing the ball. like,
Mhm.
like if you see a little backwards pass action, and it's not quite a wheel route concept, but it's the same sort of like personnel placement on the field as you space the field out to whatever side, and then you have your streak going, and they're normally wide open because that safety comes down because the running back hasn't in the backfield now. They're going to utilize this running back room so much through the air. It's going to be a great offensive weapon for them. What that does mean though is that the running back may not be around to block, and with how Alabama brought pressure the other day against Georgia, I think that it's going to be a very solid opportunity to get to the quarterback and maybe force him to make mistakes. Because quarterbacks that are good in college that aren't good in the NFL, their biggest problem is decision making most of the time. And Diego Pavia is a gunslinger, man. He will put a 50-50 ball up that may actually be closer to a 20-80 ball, if we're being perfectly
Mhm.
honest. So while they run out, get to the quarterback quickly, make sure defensively that you keep your head on a swivel, maybe have a little patience, maybe not be that super, if you're going to drop back in coverage, maybe not be that super aggressive, fake the blitz and then get wrapped up with a defender or an offensive lineman or whatever. You want to test Pavia here. You want to get to him and you want to make him make decisions. And if he's all alone in the backfield because your running back's on a wheel route, if you get to him before that ball's released, then it's kind of a moot point.
Yeah. And speaking of the 50-50 balls, I was going to do the segue. That was a perfect segue for me, Parker. Um, Diego Pavia trusts his receivers. And
I
like
read
you
the
said,
pregame
sometimes it's a
notes.
20-80 ball. This is against Virginia Tech. This is back-to-back plays here. Throws it up to Trey Richardson. It's just a one-on-one play. He trusts his receiver to make the play. We'll see it here on the next play. Same kind of play. Throws it up to his receiver. Trusts him to make a play. An outstanding catch there by Trey Richardson as well.
A great
But
throw,
he also,
by the way.
yeah,
Dropped in
great
the
throw.
bucket.
Puts it in a place where only his receiver can get it. And same thing against Utah State here. Throws it to the other side of the field to Sherrell. Great catch. Also, great throw. Nothing you can do about that. They notice the man coverage and they go for it. And I know this will be bad memories again. This was probably the biggest play of the game against Vanderbilt and Alabama. This probably is what won them the game. It was 4th and 1. They could have punted it. Alabama had just scored a touchdown. You're thinking to yourself, oh, Alabama's doing their normal comeback routine. They're going to get the ball back. Vanderbilt goes for it. And it kind of looks like a busted play in the beginning. He looks like he's had to get sacked. And he just throws it downfield dot to Sherrell. Not a 50-50 ball, but it's like he's a gunslinger. He trusts his receivers to make a play.
Mm-hmm.
Sherrell almost falls. He falls catching this ball. He's like very off balance, but he still makes the play. And I bet we will see that a lot often in this game. And against Georgia, Alabama's pass defense wasn't bad. They allowed 130 passing yards. I'm showing the one bad play they gave up here in just a second. Not saying this was speaking of the entire game. Excuse me, we'll go to the Florida State game first, then we'll go to the Georgia game. Florida State game, Tommy Castellanos trusted his receivers, and we will see Vanderbilt probably take advantage of that. Castellanos throws a deep pass here to scroll right on the first drive. Alabama has gotten burned a few times. We'll see it here against Georgia. This is probably the worst. This is the worst pass play they allowed against Georgia. Alabama loves to show the pressure. They'll put 7 guys on the line, and they will bring all 7 of them. That leaves all these corners on islands by themselves. It's like you better win your matchup. And Damani Johnson at the top of the screen, he does not win. He loses to the double move, and Stockton makes the play. I see Vanderbilt trying to test that early. Probably not necessarily early, but that's something they're going to test. If they get panicked, Diego can go, I'm going to throw it up to my guy. Whether it's intercepted or not, I'm going to trust the guy. And I feel like we're going to see that a lot in this game, where like third and 10, need a big play before half, need a big play. Say it's a tight game in the fourth quarter, need a big play. That's what he's going to do.
I don't have anything to add to that because that's spot on. We're going to see plenty of 50-50 balls. And if you're Alabama, you should be hoping that's the case because your secondary is good enough to cover this receiving core. When your best receiver is a tight end, as long as you don't get beat like that, and you have to be very careful because those will happen. And that's what happens when you kind of embrace as a defense, the 50-50 mindset, if you kind of lean into that, you have to have the wherewithal to back it up. And I think Alabama does. So I think that's going to be how this game goes. We're going to see a lot of, I think on second and 7, I think we're going to see a lot of this. That second and mid to long, we're going to see big shots go deep.
And next to last point, I know this is also bad memory. What did Vanderbilt do well last year against Alabama that was infuriating? Was shovel pass.
Catch the ball off of a defender's head that bounced in the air.
That
I'm
was
a little
one thing
salty
they
about
did.
it if you can't tell.
That was one thing they did. The shovel pass was probably an infuriating memory for Alabama fans. I know it's infuriating for me, but they've run it a few times this year. This is the one clip I found from the Virginia Tech game where they ran it. But against Alabama last year, this is 2nd and 8. Look, Alabama had just scored. Ryan Williams made an incredible play, made it 30-28. It's 2nd and 8. This is the last play of the third quarter. Set the tone, get a few yard loss. It's 3rd and 10 entering the fourth. You have all the momentum. Watch Vanderbilt. Shovel pass. And watch what Eli Stowers does on this play. Momentum totally flips on its head. You thought Alabama had it. It's now flipped again. Vanderbilt's back into field goal range. And Vanderbilt, they knew this worked for them last year. They would be dumb not to try it again. Mm-hmm. And also another thing that I noticed watching the Vanderbilt-Alabama game, they, in the last 2 drives, they realized that rolling out – well, Diego Pavia rolled out of the pocket the whole game, but they ran 2 very similar plays, one that got them their last touchdown and one that got them the third down or whatever, first down conversion to seal the game. But it's just a simple rollout here from Diego Pavia. Roll out, fake the pass, get it to the tight end, walk-in touchdown. And the tight end comes from right here, acting like he's going to block, and he's just going to slip. And behind 2 Alabama defenders that are going for the quarterback. And Pavia, he's great under pressure. Like, he has 2 guys going for his face, and it doesn't matter. Makes a good play. We're going to go to this next one here. I think it's, 2nd and 12. Alabama, you think, like, oh, they're going to get a chance to get the ball back. They have 2 timeouts. It's 2nd and 12. He fixes that real quick. And that's an icer. That iced the game, basically. Almost iced the game. The Nets first down iced the game, but it's a killer. Like, it's a time possession killer, and it's a drive extender for Vanderbilt.
Yeah, and I want to bring this up as we watch that film back. You talk about you want to bring the pressure against Diego Pavia and you want to force him to make a mistake. The answer is not the cornerback blitz. It's just not. Diego Pavia is fast, but he's not elite fast. If he is going to dog leg to the right or left or roll out or whatever, he is more than likely not going to be that elite speed kind of guy. So right there, you see the cornerback step down right there on the outside edge. He leaves that man open and he tries to go for the blitz. It looks wide open. It looks easy. The cornerback blitz is not where it's going to be. It's going to be the linebacker blitz. It's going to be, Bray Hubbard coming down and lining up in the box for a lot of this game, whether or not he brings pressure or not. Like if he lines up in the box and he drops back like a cover 9 or something like that, it's really going to be effective because on these longer drawn out plays where Pavia's out of the pocket, that's really not where he's comfortable as a runner. It's kind of more out of the pocket and it's more designed and it's more improvisational instead of, rolling out long driving plays and then taking off. It's really, it can be effective, but as long as we stay with the defense, we're not giving up those big first down plays. Like as long as the defense you stay with the receiver, you're not giving up those plays instead of being undisciplined and breaking off right there.
Yeah, and we'll end with Alabama. Reason I think the defense really kind of won the game is they were opportunistic. They made the plays when they had to. I'm just going to show a few plays from Vanderbilt, some turnovers they've had this year. This is a fumble, inside the 30. And this sets Virginia Tech up, and I believe they score here. But that's something Alabama, did in the Georgia game. They forced a fumble inside the 10-yard line and got a free 3 points. And Alabama won the game by 3 points. Mm-hmm. These little things add up. We also see with Diego Pavia being a gunslinger, it has its negatives. There's consequences. And this is one of those consequences here. It didn't really matter because South Carolina game, they just steamrolled them. But Pavia rolls out of the pocket trying to make a play and just really bad throw. He just threw it right to the defender. The defender was there the whole time. Pavia was trying to force feed a play that he didn't have to. And that's something Alabama can take advantage on, because what if that's, at the other 20-yard line? This one is a great play because it prevents them from even getting a score. Like they don't get a field goal, they get nothing. And that could be a momentum shifting play. And we saw that in the Georgia game right here. Bray Hubbard, I'm sorry I talked bad about you from the Florida State game. You are our best defensive player we have. I repeat, you are the best defensive player we have. And we watch this play here. This is a game-changing play. Meets him right in the hole. Ball pops out. Deontay Lawson falls right on top of it. That's a game-changing play. And
game-winning
we'll
play.
also see here, game-winning play. We'll also see here, Georgia's being faulted a lot. We're filming this on Sunday. They're getting faulted a lot for yesterday that they should have kicked the field goal instead of running it. That's wrong. They should have went for it. Kirby Smart even said they would have gone for it. They should have gone for it. Going for it is the right decision here. The problem is they had the wrong personnel. They had the wrong running back. However, is it still a great play by Alabama? Absolutely it is. They hurry up to the line. Gunnar Stockton gets a 2-yard gain. It's 4th and 1. They're trying to get Alabama off balance here. And watch LT Overton. This is elite play right here. He's by himself over here. Keon Sabb will come over to help. Deontay Lawson makes a good push here to help out as well. But LT Overton splits the tackle and the guard and makes an incredible play and pushes Cash Jones backwards. And this is the biggest play of the Alabama-Georgia game. Like I said, Georgia did not make a mistake by not going for it. They had the wrong personnel, but it might not have mattered if LT Overton does what he does here.
And he gets wide open on the outside. If you see it right there, there's no pressures. Listen, Keon Sabb's a dog, an absolute dog. He is not catching that man outside. He's just not. There's the top end speed isn't there. He's going to find the corner, or he's going to make a cut inside. That's a one-on-one. You're right. The defensive personnel is where Alabama cooked on this play. And against Vanderbilt, I mean, I don't know. I think this is a good time, Thomas, where we give our predictions on how this game's going to go. We were talking before. I think if I had to set the line, I would set it at Alabama minus 21.5 or so. I think Alabama's going to win this game and convincingly.
That's high, man. That's high.
Here's the thing is that we talked about it in the previous video, but this is an Alabama team that didn't add anybody really in the portal, or we're not seeing a whole lot of new starters. We're not seeing
Isaiah Horton. Isaiah Horton being the big one.
Yeah. I mean, but like this is a team that knows what it felt like to lose to Vanderbilt, and this Vanderbilt team's not the same as years past, but the name's the same, and so it still probably hurts more than it should. They're not going to do that again. They're going to go in at home, and they're going to fight probably just as hard as they did against Georgia. This is not a freebie anymore, or at least for this year anyway. So this is, I think this is a revenge game, and kind of maybe as a team, you look at the AP rankings and you see, Texas A&M above Alabama, and King's a good quarterback, but I think if you watch both of those, or excuse me, not King, Marcel Reed. Sorry.
Yeah, Marcel Reed.
Sorry, had a long conversation this week about Haynes King and his time at Texas A&M. But Marcel Reed is, if you're Alabama and you see them ranked higher, and you see all these other teams that are taking losses, maybe this is your go out and prove it moment.
Yeah, the only proof that they need. Yeah, the only proof that they need is Vanderbilt beat you last year. They controlled the game. That's kind of like where it wasn't a fluke loss. I looked at that game and I went, Vanderbilt was a better football team. They wanted it more and they took it. I think we were talking about it earlier. The line started out at 13.5. It has since moved to 11.5. If that gets to 10.5, that's a juicy number for Alabama to me. I think
number's FanDuel, by the way.
Yeah, FanDuel.
Central Time, 9 p.m. On
9 p.m. Sunday night.
Yeah.
If that goes to 10.5, even under 10, that's a juicy number for Alabama. I think they win by a little over 10. I don't think it's going to be 21. I think Vanderbilt will cause problems. They just will. They will cause problems. I just don't think their defense is ready for what Ty Simpson and Alabama has in store. That's the difference in the game. Is I don't think they're gonna be able to stop Alabama effectively enough for them to win the game, and that's gonna be the difference. I think Pavia and the run game will keep Vanderbilt in the game, but
I think the difference is going to be turnovers. I would set the line at 2 turnovers for Vanderbilt. I think it's going to be an interception, and then it's probably going to be whatever fumble. There's going to be at least 1 interception, I bet, though.
Yeah, if Alabama keeps clean that they've had 0 turnovers. We're going to be in October, and Alabama's had 0. Ty Simpson, no interceptions, no fumbles either. Riley has held onto the ball. They've all held onto the ball. Ty's held onto the ball. They've held onto the ball. Vanderbilt's going to have to do the same too. Like I said last year, this one Alabama has to fix. Last year, Vanderbilt had 42 minutes of time possession. They were 12 of 18 on 3rd down, 1 of 1 on 4th down. They had no turnovers. Alabama had 2 turnovers. Alabama had 6 penalties. Vanderbilt had 3. And the Georgia game was the first game under Kalen DeBoer where Alabama had less penalties than the opponent. It's technically an outlier. But what if that continues? I love Alabama's chances. Yeah. What if that turns into like, hey, this is a shifting moment? If that is the case, Alabama comfortably. If Vanderbilt is making more mistakes than Alabama, the line of 21 may not be enough. But Vanderbilt's going to be safe, but they're also going to be dangerous. They're not there just to play safe the whole game. They're there. No,
they're going to be wild. They're going to fight with the fervor of a desperate man. Truly, because this is the chance to shut everybody up. If you're Vanderbilt, like you've been hearing it, hey, if you guys have had a cupcake schedule, South Carolina's not who we thought they were.
Yeah, Virginia Tech's the worst Power 4 team. Well, not beside UCLA, but they're bad.
Yeah, you beat Bama last year, but like, who knows what they are this year? If I don't know, this may be the biggest game all year for Vanderbilt. And I know that sounds conceited as a Bama fan, but I think if you take the name off of Alabama and you say other top 10 team, like if this is Vanderbilt versus Texas A&M, probably still the biggest game of the year because it sets the tone for how you finish the season. You started great, 5-0, rolling into Tuscaloosa. Pavia's got to prove he's the best quarterback in the SEC, I guess. We'll see if he can.
Yeah, I guess so. Or maybe, hey, what if it's a shift from Diego being the best quarterback in the SEC to Ty Simpson being the best quarterback in the SEC? Crazy stuff, right? Well, we'll end there. I hope Alabama continues to success against Vanderbilt, and we will see you next time on the Roll Tide Rewind. Have a great rest of your week, and Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.